Driving the bus and I'm making it steer.
Singing a song. That's what road trips happen to.
Maybe we'll stop for a little food, but I won't pull over if you need to use the bathroom.
You're my dad. We drive for so long.
It's already
You
9
could
p.m.
please
where we're
stand
going.
up. I don't need to see those family members.
We don't
We have a
want-
toilet at home.
What were road trips like in your family?
Usually
Get in the
like
car, drive.
8 hours per day.
Oh,
Yeah, different vehicles.
Mm.
Cars, trucks, vans, motorhomes.
Rarely did we have the single day road trip with my parents.
Oh,
Or sorry, rarely did we have the multi-day road trip with my parents. Usually it was like, we're going from here, we're going to Penticton. That's cool. How long should that take? The entire day.
Yeah.
Not pulling over. We're going to go from middle of Alberta to Vancouver. How long is it going to take? The whole day. We're not pulling over.
yeah. My mom likes to pull over. That's nice. My dad, less so.
Mm.
And I tend to drink a lot of beverage.
I would want my kids to just sweat it out. Just don't.
Yeah.
Just sweat it out. Don't pee. Don't do anything. Just find another way to get rid of it. Did you have food in the car generally?
Yep, usually snacks.
Nice. Did you stop for lunch?
Yep.
Okay.
Depending.
We generally wouldn't stop for lunch unless like we hit a rest stop or something, and then it's like on the side of the highway, right? You pull over, everyone goes to the giant hole, and while that's going on, Mom is usually like digging through the cooler to get all the food ready. So when we come back to the car and we hop back in, it's like, great, get in the car, lunch is here. And you hop back in the car and you eat lunch while you drive. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd also stop at campsites.
Ah,
On some trips, do tenting.
those were fun. I like that when we camped. I mean, if it was like when we went to Vail, Colorado one time from southern Alberta, from Medicine
Right.
Hat, and that was like, that's going to take 2 or 3 days to do, because they were like, we're not going to try to jam all that in one time for like 2 small kids, and but we're staying at a hotel, so that's a little different than rather than having the whole camping thing. But they were like, also, we're going to drive through areas of the United States that, you know, the kids haven't seen before. So let's go to the jail.
Yeah.
Yep. Get to see closed jail.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, mine was mostly just like up and down the Alaska Highway. We went down like the I-5 down to, I think we were going to like Mount Vernon. No, Mount something. We went to like Anaheim. Had family
wow.
around in California.
Nice.
That was a really long trip. I was really young for that, and now I no longer like the Reese's peanut butter sandwiches.
Like, wait, Ritz peanut butter sandwiches?
Yeah, the Ritz. Yeah,
Great.
the little ones.
Yep.
One of the longer ones we did in one go was Grand Prairie to here on the island, like up near Parksville.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That was like 24 hours. Yeah, it was usually like start up in northern BC, drive 8 hours, end up at Fort St. John,
right.
stop, or like Chetwynd. We used to
Right.
visit people in Chetwynd. Then drive down to like Prince George or maybe like around Kamloops or something, stop there, come over to Vancouver, spend the night in Vancouver, take the ferry over,
Right.
go to Victoria, go to Nanaimo.
Wow.
We only went up to Port Alberni once.
I have never been. Wait. Maybe we did. Maybe I have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, and some of those trips involved like taking a Greyhound too.
Oh, cool.
Those were
That's-
mostly cars, but you know, I threw up with my dad a couple times, and we stopped taking the bus as much.
That would be awkward, yeah. The nature of like when you said from northern BC and then you would drive down to Fort St. John, like drive a few hours and get to Fort St. John, I'm like, yeah. To me, Fort St. John is northern BC, right? Like I know there's more above it because I've now driven through some of it.
Yes.
But there is that thing of Fort St. John feels north, and it's like when I lived in Grand Prairie that I was like, right, I realized that there's still like High River and stuff, right? But
yeah, in Alberta, like even if you're in the Peace area, which is Grand Prairie, Fort St. John sort of zone,
Peace
you know,
River,
like Fort Mac is up there.
Yeah, it's above in that area, and yet even then, Fort Mac is still not the most north you can go in Alberta.
And then there's like the territories north of there, so
right.
Yeah, it's not even as north as you can get in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Yeah, I think the next road quest should definitely be the top of the world highway.
Take that all the way out to, or just get on it and start driving either direction. Yeah.
Since I missed the one that went through my hometown.
Oh. When I was born in Dawson Creek.
Yeah.
Lived there for only a short period of time until we moved to Medicine Hat, and that is like a huge jump across.
That's a huge jump, and yet not.
It really isn't, right? You can get from there to there in about 9 hours if you were to just haul it. Actually, no, hang on. I'm doing that math wrong. 1 hour from Dawson Creek to Grand Prairie, about
hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, about 4 to 5 hours to get from Grand Prairie to Edmonton.
Yeah.
And about 7 hours to get from there down to Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
So that is a whole day. Like that would be get up early in the morning and drive for like 14, 15 hours, which I think we might have done. I don't remember staying overnight anywhere when we did that move, and I was 5 years old. I got to ride in the Ryder truck though. That was fun. And to have moved that distance and be like, now you live in Southern Alberta. You live an hour away from the border.
Yeah.
No real difference when you're a child, but as I got older, I realized, oh, this is a very different place to live than way up north.
The longest ones were probably when I lived in Oregon in Silverton, which we would say we lived in Salem, but it was Silverton. Yeah, driving from Fort St. John to Silverton for family stuff.
To get to Oregon.
Yeah.
Wow. God.
And shockingly, I never even went through like Astoria that often. I only recently have gone to like the mouth of the Columbia River.
Right. Yeah. Huh. Paul, on the other hand, has lived on the island his whole life, correct?
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had vacations where we went other places, but I have lived on the island all my life. And I mean, my parents have lived in the same place since I was born too. So like,
right.
Yeah.
There is a period of my life, basically after, in my last year of high school, where I believe that on average, I lived between 18 and 24 months in any one place for about 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
On average.
So you were on the run from the police?
I was just moving so often. It was like, it was just a lot. And so it's like living in a couple different places in St. Albert and then getting a job up in, because 2 places in Medicine Hat and then moving up to like St. Albert to live there and then Grand Prairie and then coming back home again in about 18 months. And then like living with my parents again, but then buying a condo in St. Albert, but then only living there for a period of time, moving to Edmonton and living in Edmonton for a short period of time, and then back and forth and back to Olds. So all this stuff, moving a ton. And then even in Victoria, moving a ton, we've been living here too. So that's like I moved around a lot. Paul, it sounds like you've maybe only lived in about 5 or 6 different places.
I've lived in
Like even houses will count, right? Like
like I've lived in 3 places, 4 if you count like when I was going to university,
yeah.
when I was living in dorms and then living with some roommates up at university. But in Victoria, I've lived with my parents and then lived in an apartment and then lived in the place where I'm living now. Yeah, I don't like moving.
No.
Sucks.
Congrats.
But yeah, it's interesting. I know that people from not from Vancouver Island sometimes do feel like because you're sort of stuck at the whims of the ferries and stuff that it is a little bit sort of confining. But that has never really been obviously being born here. That's never really thought about it that way. But
It's not like I have wanderlust or anything. It's just the nature of how things have shook out. But
exactly, but it is it is a weird, like it is just a different sort of perspective on or a different sort of. It depends on how where you were born and stuff.
I want to pivot from that topic then to ask you. You've done some traveling though. But are there places where you're like, man, I would really have liked an opportunity, or because obviously moving now is maybe not a thing, but it's like I would have loved an opportunity to live here, like in this town or this city or somewhere else, or move here and live here and do that kind of thing.
I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of Victoria, but if I was gonna move somewhere, I don't know. I always liked the idea of like Montreal,
Ooh.
just for Last Festival, all that good stuff.
All the really good festivals, yeah.
Good festivals and good music, good food. But
Not like the mainland, like not Vancouver specifically.
yeah, I mean Vancouver could be interesting as well. I kind of like the sort of smaller thing, but I mean in like a big city, any big city, the neighborhoods almost act like small cities. Unto them, like small towns unto themselves. You sort of have all the stuff you need in one area. So
I got very like moving to Medicine Hat was 45,000 people when we moved there, and it was kind of stayed the whole way for like 12 years of my life. And moving from there to Edmonton, which is just cracked 1 million, and people are like, it's gonna be the big city, and you get there and you're like, yeah, it is big.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel big because you don't go everywhere. You only go a few places.
right, yeah,
And downtown's like deserted.
Yeah.
But
and then to go visit Calgary and stuff, it's like, oh, Calgary's going to be big too. And it's like, yeah, but again, no. Like, you don't visit every mall in Calgary like you do when you don't live in Calgary. You try to visit all the malls when you visit. But when you live there, you're like, no, I just go to these 4 places in Calgary and that's about it. So I've been more places living in Victoria than I have in any other place that I've lived. I've gone to more different like explored all sorts of stuff around here, not even always for entertainment, just kind of to like, I mean, work obviously, but yeah, different feeling.
Maybe dense. It's like, I mean, obviously there's a limit to how much we can expand in Victoria because 3 sides are water.
Yeah.
So things do kind of densify a little bit as opposed to just kind of sprawl out. But it's like in video games, they'll be like the new, this new game that's coming out has a map so large, that it would take it'll take like 5 hours to walk across the map.
Yeah.
And it's like that doesn't really, what matters is how much stuff there is to do on the map.
It's just suburbia, the whole map, and you're like, oh, great.
But yeah, I mean, I like when I was in Nanaimo, when I lived in Nanaimo, and I was going to university. One of my friends living there, she came from Lanceville, which is a small town up island from Nanaimo. So like coming to Nanaimo was like coming to the big city,
right?
Yeah.
For her. So it was sort of a weird kind of like, because like Nanaimo's, I mean, like you say, with the like spread out, like Nanaimo's a weird city. Like it's not only fairly low population, but it's also kind of spread out
Yeah.
in an odd way.
Yeah.
Like
And
there's like
kind of
there's, like-
textured weird. There's weird hills that
Yeah.
hide stuff.
there's like 3 malls and the university, and around each one is like a cluster of businesses and housing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's like farmland in between.
Right.
It's a little like Regina, if that makes sense. Regina's also got kind of some weird hills that really make it deceptively empty.
It felt a bit like when I've driven through Kamloops sometimes, and you stay overnight in Kamloops, and that kind of idea of like there's some very urbanized areas, but then a lot of the houses they push off into other spots, and there's the university.
I think the university is the largest employer in Nanaimo. At least when I was there,
Ah.
that was a talk about that. I don't know whether that is still the case.
The island's really school dense.
Yeah. UVic, Royal Roads, VIU, Camosun.
Come to Vancouver Island, get schooled, yo.
I find it interesting because it's like with like I've moved around a lot and I didn't want to, but I did. And I didn't.
It was
living
because the Terminators from the future were after you.
You get because
You had
I
to
like
keep moving.
stuff.
Stay
Boy,
off the
do I
grid.
like having things.
Oh, well, there's your first mistake.
That's the problem, right? You discover after a while with the more things you have that it's like, oh, well, this will be fine. Don't worry. Especially my parents were always like, we're going to sit you up to have stuff. Don't worry. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, we bought a new microwave. I'm like, so you'll have the old microwave. Okay. And then you find out later, like when you're getting ready to move, they're like, well, we already gave that microwave to your brother. So we're actually going to buy a new microwave and you're going to get our old microwave. Oh, okay, cool. Great. I guess that's awesome. And those kind of things. I move up to Grand Prairie and they're like, well, okay, now we're going to go shopping and get all the stuff you need for your place. I'm like, I don't need that much stuff. Do it. It's like, no, it's fine. We already have the dishes for you, but you're gonna need like glasses, right? I'm like, I guess I'll need like a set of glasses. Sure. And like, cool. My mom's like, okay, here's 8 glass tumblers, like full size ones. You're gonna need some juice glasses. So here's a set of matching 8 juice glasses, like that kind of thing. And I'm
Right,
like,
right.
yeah, I'm like, that totally makes sense because that's the house I grew up in was you need that. But I'm by myself and I don't need all that. And I found that kind of thing over time where it's like I'm acquiring, and I'm thankful to my parents for thinking of me for like, when you're going to move out, you're going to need all these tubs of stuff and we have space for it. But it also meant that when we were living in different places, as we moved from house to house to house, we had to keep peeling stuff off because the houses kept getting smaller and smaller. And I would acquire things and it's like, well, now I got to get rid of this. Now I got to get rid of that. And
It's a
it wasn't
blade of
until
stuff.
yeah, when we made it out to Victoria that I was like, I moved out here with a sea can full of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm probably down to half that much stuff, and that's great.
It's all.
And
in
I
the
still have to get rid
cloud
of
now.
stuff. Yeah, it's all in the cloud now, right? It's like I need to get rid of half more of that stuff. I feel like too, right? So, it's a weird feeling, but it just changed my mind. But there is also that thing of I was glad, like in retrospect, I'm glad I moved around a lot because it also made me hate all my stuff. Because if I didn't move around a lot, I'd probably be like, I'm fine with all this stuff.
I mean, my solution to that is I live in a very small apartment. So the amount of stuff that I can acquire is limited to a certain extent.